All right, Tim, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming on for our podcast and our producer profile here. Um, I wanted you to tell us all about Arizona Grazed, and I think a lot of people are excited to learn about it. So, if you just want to start off, introduce yourself and give us a little history and background of Arizona Grazed and how it all started.
Okay, my name is Tim Petersen. I'm in Arizona, and the name of our company is Arizona Grass Raised Beef. And I started this company about 12 years ago. Uh, was in the ranching business and realized that ranching wasn't as lucrative as I needed it to be. Saw that there was a need for uh, people wanting to know where their food is coming from. Uh, Started looking around at farmers markets. Farmers markets were popping up. And then, of course, I noticed, stores like Sprouts and Whole Foods, and kind of realized that there was a movement underway uh, for local grown beef. So just definitely didn't want to do, a grain fed product. There's plenty of large commercial packing companies doing that, and decided that wanted to go a healthier route, and really did a lot of research and just realized that grass-fed beef was the business that I wanted to pursue. So we did a couple farmers markets, and we were actually the first uh, small local beef company in Arizona to get on with a company called Natural Grocers. We were the first grass-fed beef company in Arizona to get on with a distributor, and we would ship our cattle down to the University of Arizona, where they had a processing plant, and then we would ship it up to Phoenix for further processing and packaging. That became very labor intensive, and as we grew, I realized that for me to control quality and control, what we were doing, that we needed to have our own plant. So after a few years, uh, I got an old uh, packing plant up in Yavapai County and remodeled it, and got the USDA involved, and we've been in that plant now for almost 11 years.
Very nice, very nice. What a story. Of course, being on a producer profile, Arizona Grass Raised, one of our AGA certified members. Could you talk a little bit about how the standards, the significance of the standards, um, how that affects animal health, land health, product quality, and gives you the products that you're so proud of today?
Well, I mean, the greatest thing about American Grass Raised Beef Association is it's a third party verification program, and as this ranch to table, farm to fork to gate to plate movement has progressed over the last decade, there's a lot of people making a lot of claims, and claims are what they are, and there's a lot of claims that I don't think are necessarily true. So I really, embrace the fact that we could have a third party, uh, organization, confirm and verify our claims. Uh, I actually have quite a few companies that want to see our certification every year, and they think that it's a viable organization as well. And at the end of the day, it's it's just accountability, and getting back to the consumer. The thing I hear a lot from consumers is that there's just a lot of I guess, can I say BS in our food today, and there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with labeling, and the customers can certainly appreciate the fact that we have a third party verification program, and it's not just us talking about our beef and what our beef, how our beef are raised. It's there's a verification program in place, and we think that's important. So do our customers.
Thank you very much for the kind words about AGA. If anybody's thinking about becoming an AGA certified member, an AGA member, feel free, go to our website at americangrassfed.org. You can hit join AGA at the top right of the website, and that'll help you get started on your way towards your certified membership. So, to talk a little more about your farm, we recently did a Taste of America campaign where we talked about, how people's, their region, the native grasses that are growing there, how that all has an impact on their end product, and it makes it unique to their region, right? So,
Yes.
what does it mean for the species of cattle that you raise to be able to forage for the naturally occurring grasses that are in your region, and how does that contribute to the uniqueness of your beef products at the end of the day?
Yeah. Well, the great thing about Arizona, especially where our ranches are, we ranch close to 200,000 acres. Most, I mean, a large portion of the land in Arizona is federal land and state land. So we have huge, grazing leases out here. Uh, so, the elevation on our ranches can range from 2,500 feet up to 55, 5,600 feet where, different grasses are growing. That gives us the ability to rotate cattle in the winter and the summertime. But in Arizona, we don't have snow. We have snow in the northern part of the state, and we don't get so much snow that, you know, cattle can't stay on, the same ranch. But where we ranch in the middle part of the state and the lower part of the state, we have cattle that are on pasture, wide open rangeland all year round. Uh, I think I think it's wonderful not to have to grow hay all spring and summer and then feed cattle hay, which is kind of a dead plant that's been baled up, and all winter long you've got to feed these cattle. Where in Arizona, the cattle graze 300 plus days a year. They're exposed to sunshine and the outdoors, and that's kind of our grazing program. We can rotate cattle to lower desert ranches to upper desert ranches. And a lot of people think of the desert and they think of the Sahara Desert. I had some cousins get off the plane in Phoenix back in the 1970s, and they wanted to know where the sand dunes were. And Arizona has what's called the Sonoran Desert, and in the Sonoran Desert, people would be amazed at the grass that grows here when it rains. We have a grass called fillery, and it grows in the wintertime and it grows in the summertime, and it's very high in protein, and the cattle do really well on it. So sometimes people will say, well, is your beef certified organic? And I say, well, no, it's better than organic. Our cattle come off of thousands and thousands of acres of wide open rangeland that you know there are fences here and there, to define pasture areas, but they're exposed to the sunlight and the rain and the wind and the water and the sunshine all year round. And we think that makes for a great beef product, grass-fed beef product.
Just the way it should be. And speaking of
Yeah.
your great products, I know you guys also do sausages, and you have a big emphasis on using pronounceable ingredients, keeping it simple. Can you talk to me a little bit about the philosophy behind using those simple ingredients and the sausages you guys make as well?
Sure. Well, you know, 8 years ago, I built a USDA inspected commercial kitchen, and we started taking the marrow bones from the cattle and making bone broth. And so we ship grass fed, grass finished, beef bone broth all over the country. Uh, then we started making tallow out of the fat and the suet. And of course, we sell that direct to the consumer. And now we're seeing an interest from a lot of restaurants that want that pure grass fed, grass finished beef tallow that we make in our kitchen. And then, we researched about 400 beef jerky companies in America, and every one of them had brown sugar, organic sugar, sugar, preservatives, and nitrates. And we're really just trying to do things the way great grandma did it, you know, 100 years ago. And so we make a beef sausage that has spices in it, and all the spices are certified organic. And then we just took that beef sausage and evolved that into 3 different types of formed beef jerky, and then we make 3 different types of whole muscle beef jerky. In the grass-fed world, it's hard to really control that carcass score. In the commodities world, in a feedlot scenario, you can punch out 1,300-pound steers all day long, and they're going to grade at this, and they're going to score at this. Where grass-fed cattle that come off of thousands of acres of rangeland, uh, they don't always have the greatest marbling. You can't really control that because they're grass-fed, grass-finished animals. And so we wanted to have a place where we could send the primals that were maybe not marbled up quite as much, and that would be your ribeye and your New York and your rounds. And so we started making jerky out of it. And I figured, I've always wanted to do something different, and I don't want to do what everybody else is doing and load it up with sugar and nitrates and all the stuff that is proven to kind of not be too good for us. Well, I believe that the most important phrase in food today is, I want to know where my food is coming from, and I want to know exactly what's in it. And if you look at the paleo and the keto and the carnivore diets, I mean, they're growing at a rate of over 30% a year. And we just noticed that our customers, there's just a large demand for really clean, simple products. So like our New York strip beef jerky is just simply grass-fed, grass-finished beef with salt. It's as simple as that. That's the way the ribeye is made. The sausages are organic seasoning. The formed jerky is all organic, and that's it. There's nothing else in it. Real simple ingredients, and we also do a pet treat that utilizes the organ meats, and we're just finding that there's a growing market uh, for customers to just want simple ingredients and healthier ingredients, and they want to know what is in their food, and they want to know who's putting it in their food, and they want to know who's growing their food. And that's primarily what our motto is.
And for those that are close enough to you to truly, be able to even maybe come out to the ranch and shop directly from you and really, know the area that it's coming from. Obviously, that's a great thing for them to be able to take advantage of. But for those that are further away, with the amount of direct to consumer that you do you see that AGA certification makes a difference in the way that your customers really see your product? And do you feel that you're benefiting from that in terms of the value you're able to demand?
Sure. I mean, again, we just get back to the accountability and the claims. It's just, I find that the consumer is becoming kind of weary of what our federal government, allows manufacturers of food to put on their labeling, products of America and all that fun stuff. So, American Grass Raised Beef Association, Grass Fed Beef Association just offers that level of accountability. And usually when people ask me, well, how do we know these cattle are grass raised? And I explain to them about our third party AGA program. That's the end of the conversation. They seem to have a sense of comfort just knowing that we're affiliated with an organization like that, and that we are willing to take the time to hold ourselves accountable to the product that we're serving them.
What would you say are some of the, just because I see the frustration about it within you, what would you say are some of the worst examples of bad labeling practices that we've seen, in our food system?
Yeah, well, I think the one is this product of America. I mean, you can slaughter cattle in South America and Mexico, and you can break them into quarters or primals, ship them into America, and further process those cuts or that ground beef, and you can slap a product of America label on there. In Arizona, we have a logo that was created by our Arizona Department of Revenue. That's called Arizona Grown. Well, Arizona grown doesn't really mean Arizona grown. There's a JBS plant here in Arizona, and because the cattle are slaughtered in Arizona, they could come from Timbuktu. But as long as they're slaughtered in Arizona, they can use that Arizona grown logo. If those cattle came from Mars, but they were fed corn that was grown in Arizona, you can use the Arizona grown logo. So we don't use that logo. And you know, we know that 85% of our protein in this country comes from 4 packing plants, and only one of those packing plants is completely American owned. Consumers are learning this. We saw food security issues back in the COVID days, and customers turned directly to ranchers and directly to local farmers for their food. Uh, and they'll do it again. And people aren't stupid. They you know, God bless the internet. We can become pretty educated. We can do a lot of research on the internet. In fact, people ask me what's the difference between a grass fed and a grain fed. And I go, you know, I'm a cattleman. I don't talk negative about anything. It's all the cattle business, but do your research, and you can do a lot of research on the internet and figure out, you know, what it is you want to feed your family. But at the end of the day, you can also realize that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in our labeling systems, because the business of food has become all about one thing: making money. We don't sell we don't sell to retailers anymore. We don't market to retailers because retailers are worried about one thing. They're not too impressed with the story and the hard work that we put into our ranches and raising our cattle. They're really worried about one thing, and that's you know, margins. And that's great if that's what they want to be about. But the American consumer is a little smarter than that, and we are growing every year, and we have people that call us all the time and thank us for being, you know, accountable and you know, being able to, they can call me on the phone and talk to the rancher and talk about the food. They can talk about the AGA. We're one of the only ranching operations in the Western United States that has our own USDA inspected plant. So we are very vertically integrated. We're really the only true company that's ranch to table. We don't ship our cattle off to another processing plant. When you buy our beef, you know it's grass fed, grass finished. It's free of growth hormones. It's free of antibiotics. It's third party verified. It's USDA inspected. And we did it all under one roof. And that's the same with our bone broth, our tallow, and our beef jerky and our dog treats. So
And you know, and it's not, I mean, because you guys are doing a phenomenal job in the methodologies, but I think, you know, even past raising them, it goes a step further. I mean, I think I saw on your website stuff about you guys doing dry aging, right? After you're, you know, doing butchering. Is that correct? You're able to
yeah,
take additional steps for quality there?
yeah, because in my humble opinion, the best grass fed beef in Arizona is not a 900-pound steer. It's a 1,400-pound 4 to 6 year old cow. And I did a lot of research on how grass fed beef is done in Europe and how beef is done in Europe. I've had the privilege of having a couple meat cutters that are from New Zealand and Italy, and we like to have some marbling in our beef. It gives it flavor. But when you're processing cattle that are 4 to 6 years old, they're a little more on the tough side. So the dry aging brings that tenderness back, and it also brings in a little different flavor profile that our customers have actually love. We can barely keep ribeyes in stock, you know. So, but yeah, the dry aging is a big part of what we do. We have our own dry aging cooler, and all of our middle meats are dry aged for 38 days. Because again, grass fed beef, people kind of, yeah, well, it could taste a little gamey or it's a little tougher than commodities meat. Well, yeah, that can be true, but there are lots of techniques that can be used to help that grass-fed beef, you know, compete and make it more palatable for the customer.
Now, you do a lot of direct to consumer. I know you said you're not, interested in selling into retail anymore. Um, in terms of the ways that benefits the consumer and the flexibility it offers them, no subscriptions, no type of, they can come to you and order straight from their farmer whenever they want. How do you see that as a benefit for the consumer?
Well, it just seems like more and more consumers are shopping online. Uh, you know, boy, I mean, times have changed, and COVID had a big say in that. People, I don't think a lot of people really realized that they could order great quality beef protein uh, online. A lot of the online companies out there, they source their beef and they source the pork and they source the lamb and they source the different proteins. People ask me all the time, are you going to do pork? Are you going to do chickens? Nope, we do grass-fed beef. That's it, and that's all it'll ever be. And I think people appreciate that, and they appreciate the fact that they can talk to their rancher on the phone. And just COVID kind of, people woke up one day, went into grocery stores and saw empty shelves, and they turned to the internet. And I think our internet business probably almost doubled in the year 2000 and 2020, 2021. And so, the more and more people realize that you can order good quality beef from Arizona, an Arizona rancher, and it's from Arizona, and it's not from New Zealand, it's not from Uruguay. I don't care where you buy your grass-fed beef, or if you buy it from Uruguay or New Zealand. I'm not saying anything good or bad about it, but I just know that people want to know exactly where their food is coming from, and I think that's that's a really important factor for customers today. And they're realizing that the only way they can get that accomplished is by buying direct from the rancher.
So for those that want to learn more about, Arizona grass raised products and, what you guys have to offer over there, what's the best place for them to get some more information on that?
Okay, so our website is www.azgrassraisedbeef.com. And my phone number is at the bottom of that website. It says, for questions, text Tim. And if people have questions about our cattle and about our ranches and what we do, they can text me. And if it warrants a phone call, I have no problem with getting on the phone, because that's what I want to project. I want to be able to talk directly to our customers. And I talk to people all over the United States. We ship all over the United States, and sometimes it takes time, but it's great to get that feedback and be in tune with your customers like that, and talk to them about what we do. We take a lot of pride in what we do. We've got we it's a lifestyle. It's not really a job. It's almost about 7 days a week, but it's a great business to be in, feeding people good healthy food.
Absolutely, Tim. One of the most important jobs in the world, I'd say. Now,
Yeah.
anything you'd like to leave us with? Obviously, where you can get a hold of Tim. Call him right up if you need something. Send him a text. Obviously, to go check out their website and all the cool things they have to offer over at Arizona Grass Raised Beef. Any words you'd like to leave folks with?
Well, support your local rancher and your local farmers, and for sure, support farmers, or I mean ranchers that are third party verified. And the American Grass Raised Beef Association I think, is one of the most credible third party verifiers in the state. And if you're after grass fed beef, look for that logo. And I want to thank you for taking the time to let us talk about what we do, and in our third party program and our ranches and our slaughter plant and everything we do. I just appreciate the fact that you take the time and talk to us about this and help us promote what we do. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, it's been an absolute pleasure, Tim. We are here to stand with our members and lift them up as much as possible. So thank you for taking the time.
All right. Take care.